What does it take to build a country? Not just politics, not just an army, infrastructure. And looking back over Israel's 75 years, you can read the entire economic history through one lens: the major national projects. Each one solved a specific bottleneck: electricity, water, defense, technology, transportation, and each one set up the next stage of growth. Let me walk you through them chronologically. When the state was founded in 1948, the two most urgent projects were obvious: electricity and water. The Israel Electric Corporation expanded power infrastructure across the country for industry, agriculture, and households. Without electricity, you cannot develop an economy. That's why it became a government-owned company and remains 100% state-owned to this day. In parallel, Mekorot, the national water company, laid the groundwork for water infrastructure across the country. This is what made kibbutzim and agricultural settlements possible, and it set the stage for the national water carrier a decade later. The Zionist leaders understood this even before independence. No country exists without power and water. In 1951, Israel signed the reparations agreement with Germany. The Germans paid compensation for the Holocaust in the form of billions of German marks. It was morally fraught, but Ben-Gurion decided yes, because without external capital, there are no infrastructures. The reparations funded equipment, transportation, public institutions, and the early defense industry. They bridged the country across its scarcity years. In 1958, Israel began the nuclear project at Dimona, a defense technological program that required enormous investment. Beyond its strategic role, Dimona pulled in scientific knowledge, energy, and medical technologies, and pushed the entire higher education system forward. Then through the 1960s came the defense industries: Rafael, Israel Aerospace Industries, and Elbit. These eventually produced the Iron Dome, the Aero missile system, and dozens of other platforms. The lesson here is one of the most underrated in Israel's economic history. The defense industries became the engine of the civilian high-tech sector. Engineers trained on missile guidance systems went on to build the cyber, communications, and software companies that define the country today. You cannot understand the startup nation without first understanding the defense industries. From 1959 to 1964, Israel built the National Water Carrier, a national project that pumped water from the Kinneret all the way to the Negev and the center. Result: regular water supply nationwide, agricultural development, and a generation of advanced water technology. In the 1970s, Eilat was developed as both a port and a tourist destination, a free trade zone, hotels, infrastructure, a southern anchor for the economy. In 1977, the new Likud government launched Project Renewal, large-scale rehabilitation of distressed neighborhoods, focused on housing, employment, and reducing social gaps. People sometimes ask, isn't Likud supposed to be capitalist? Why this kind of intervention? Here's the distinction: this isn't socialism. It's correcting a market failure. No private developer was going to rehabilitate a low-income neighborhood. There was no profit in it. So the state stepped in. Over the years, those same neighborhoods, in Jaffa, in Jerusalem, elsewhere, became some of the most expensive real estate in the country. That's not redistribution. That's infrastructure for places the market wouldn't touch. In the 1990s, Israel made a strategic choice. The government entered an emerging field, high-tech, and deliberately catalyzed it. Direct investment, laws encouraging venture capital, dedicated high-tech parks, the Yasma Fund. The pattern: the state builds the market until the market can stand on its own. 2 decades later, Israel was a global tech powerhouse: jobs, exports, foreign currency, and the brand of the startup nation. None of it would have happened without that deliberate state catalyst in the early 90s. From the 2000s onwards, the projects modernized. In 2000, the Cross-Israel Highway, Highway 6, opened. Built and operated by private developers under government planning. It linked north and south, cut travel times, and the model has kept expanding ever since. In 2010, the offshore gas fields, Tamar, Leviathan, Karish, came online, discovered by private companies after years of exploration. The contribution, energy independence, exports to neighboring countries, cheaper electricity, lower emissions. In the 2000s and 2010s, desalination scaled up, massive plants in Ashkelon, Hadera, and elsewhere. The red line of the Kinneret stopped being a daily anxiety because the country now had its own engineered supply. Israel became one of the world leaders in water technology. And in 2020, the light rail, public transit to break the cycle of traffic congestion in the country's biggest cities. 75 years. A long string of decisions about what to build: electricity, water, defense, science, neighborhoods, tech, gas, transit. Each project solved one bottleneck and unlocked the next. The lesson isn't that the state should do everything. It's that the state needs to do the things markets won't. Fundamental infrastructure, market failure repair, technology catalysts at takeoff. Israel did exactly that, repeatedly. And that is what built the modern economy.